Hello friends, this is Shivam Dubey from English Kingdom, Katra, Prayagraj. Welcome to the class. We are continue with Matthew Arnold, and it is the final time we are going through the poet, the critic, essayist, and many more. No way we can estimate him as a dramatist as well in some conditions. But yes, when we read Arnold, we read him as a great scholar, as a great contributor to the world criticism. And this is why some of the scholars accept him to be the critic of critic, as the father of, almost in a sense you can say, father of modern criticism that we read from T.S. Eliot, I.A. Richards, F.R. Lewis. They all somehow were inspired from the critic or criticism of Matthew Arnold and his contribution. Today, actually, it is not a class on any topic. As I told you already, that's the final day on Matthew Arnold. So it's actually general question session that we will go almost for an hour, and there I will put the questions from Arnold and a kind of thorough study, means from his longer poems, from his shorter poems, from his criticism, from his biography, from the estimation of his, and many more things that are associated, especially related to his age, literary age that he belongs to. So all these things will be there in the questions, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So try to reply the questions that are put. We will start with the first question here, and that is, what was the name of the father of Matthew Arnold? That's the first question of the day. What was the name of the father of Matthew Arnold? That's the first question of the day. We go here through and waiting for your reply. What was the name of the father of Matthew Arnold? And we have the reply here on the screen, starting with Neeraj, followed by Gunjan and Sarita. They have all answered it correct, and that is Dr. Thomas Arnold. That's nice of you. Okay, moving with the next. Which poem of Arnold commemorates the death of his father? Which poem of Arnold commemorates the death of his father? The name of the poem by Arnold that commemorates the death of his father. We find some answer here on the screen, starting with Sarita, Neeraj, Gunjan, and they have all answered it correct, and that is Rugby Chapel. Exactly, Rugby Chapel is an elegy on the death of his own father, Dr. Thomas Arnold. What was the name of the brother of Matthew Arnold with whom he started writing his juvenile pieces? What was the name of the brother of Matthew Arnold with whom he started writing his juvenile pieces? The name of the brother of Matthew Arnold with whom he started writing juvenile pieces. You remember, today we are here through the question session, and we have some answer here that start with Sarita, and she is followed by Neeraj, Gunjan, Santosh, They have all answered it correct, and that is Thomas Arnold. Exactly. Today we go through the topic of Matthew Arnold, and that's the question session, a thorough evaluation of your learning. So, the answer for the last question was Thomas Arnold, or in a short, Tom Arnold. With Tom Arnold, Matthew Arnold started writing his juvenile pieces. Okay, going with the next. Where was Matthew Arnold born? Where was Matthew Arnold born? You will have to tell the name of the place where Matthew Arnold was born. Okay, so we find the answer here on the screen. That starts with Gunjan. And yeah, exactly, much better from Neeraj. Okay, that's good one, Sarita. So they have all answered it correct, that it's Laleh, near the valleys of the Thames, that was the river, and exactly the place was Laleh. Okay, going with the next one. Which war did Arnold discuss by the end of his poem, Dover Beach? Which war did Matthew Arnold discuss by the end of his poem, Dover Beach? The name of the war that he discusses towards the last three lines of the poem, Dover Beach. Okay, and the answers are here on the screen. They started with Sarita, check the spelling. And now it's Gunjan, Santosh, okay, Neeraj. Well, Neeraj, spelling problems there. So right answer is Peloponnesian War. That was good one. It's related to a Greek war that has been mentioned by the end of the poem, that is Dover Beach. Okay, now I'll move with the next one. What's the name of the play by Matthew Arnold? What's the name of the play of Matthew Arnold, from whose lines the epigraph for the poem Tharsis was used? The name of the play by Matthew Arnold, from which the line as an epigraph were used for the poem Tharsis. The name of the play by Matthew Arnold, whose lines were used as an epigraph for the poem Tharsis. Okay, so we have some answers. Oh my God, I think this is a repeated question, and more than 20 times I have, please, 20 times I have put the question. Okay, Neeraj, but you see, you started wrong, and how blind followers followed you. So all they answered it wrong. Ultimately, the right answer is not Lucretia, it's Lucretius. Okay, so right answer is Lucretius, that comes as a play from whose the lines were used as an epigraph for the poem, longer poem, Tharsis. Okay, going here with the next question. When did father of Matthew Arnold breathe his last? When did the father of Matthew Arnold breathe his last? Okay, Neeraj. You will have to be very careful because sometimes it happens when you start wrong, the followers don't think anything, they just follow you blindly. So you will have to be very careful when you answering first. Okay. So the question is, when did Thomas Arnold breathe his last? And we have the answers on the screen, starting with Gunjan, Neeraj, Sarita, Santosh. They have all answered it correct, and that is 12th June 1842. Okay, we'll move with the next question. Which poem of Arnold has the line, I repeat, which poem of Arnold has the line, he taught us little, but our soul had felt him like the thunder's roll? Which poem of Arnold has the line, he taught us little, but our soul had felt him like the thunder's roll? Which poem of Arnold has the line, he taught us little, but our soul had felt him like the thunder's roll? Very, very important line. No, Sarita, that's the wrong one. So it's the right answer is coming from Neeraj, and now it's Gunjan. Exactly, the line is here from Memorial Verses, and the line is related to Lord Byron, whose death he could describe actually from the second stanza of the poem Memorial Verses. Who commissioned Matthew Arnold to compose the poem Memorial Verses on the death of William Wordsworth? Who commissioned Matthew Arnold to compose the poem Memorial Verses on the death of William Wordsworth? Okay. So we have the answers on the screen, starting with Neeraj, Sarita, Gunjan, and they have all answered it correct, that it is Edward Quillen. That's a good one, Santosh. Edward Quillen was actually the brother-in-law of Wordsworth, and he commissioned Matthew Arnold to compose the poem on the death of the then poet laureate of England, William Wordsworth. Right, we move with the next question. Which poem of Arnold has the lines, others abide our question, thou art free? Which poem of Arnold has the line, others abide our question, thou art free? Very, very famous line, and many a time asked in examination. Which poem of Arnold has the line? And we have some answers here on the screen, starting with Sarita, Neeraj. They have also read it correct, that it's a Shakespeare. Exactly. Shakespeare was a sonnet by Matthew Arnold, and this is the opening line of this poem, and that's a very, very nice answer from you, Sarita and Neeraj. Going with the next one. When was the sonnet Shakespeare published for the first time? When was the sonnet Shakespeare published for the first time? When? Was so right answer is awaited. When was it published for the first time? And we have the answer starting with Sarita, followed by Neeraj. They have all answered it correct. To be 1849. Exactly, that's the right answer. 1849 is the year where the first collection of Arnold's poem, The Strayed Reveller and Other Poems, was published. And in that collection, this poem as a sonnet, Shakespeare was included. Okay. When did Arnold get married to Frances Lucy Whiteman? When did Arnold get married to Frances Lucy Whiteman? When did Arnold get married to Frances Lucy Whiteman? Okay, and we have some answers. Well, that started here with Sarita, Gunjan, Neeraj, and they have answered it to be June 1851. That's a good one. Right, we move to the next question. When was the essay on translating Homer published? When was the essay on translating Homer was published? I repeat, when was the essay on translating Homer published? Oh, Jagrati, just check your answer, beta. Well, so it is starting here with the reply of Sarita. She answered it to be Jan 1861, and this correct one, 1861 January, got the first publication of the essay on translating Homer. That's a good one, Santosh. Going with the next one. Okay, that's good one, Jagrati. Be quick in your reply. But I think, Jagrati, there's a mistake. It's not 1851. It's 1861 should be there. Okay, we go with the next. Who has been considered to be the physician of the Iron Age by Arnold in memorial verses? Who has been considered to be the physician of the Iron Age in the poem Memorial Verses? Who has been considered to be the physician of the Iron Age in the poem Memorial Verses? Neeraj, what are you doing? Dante has been discussed in Memorial Verses. Be careful. Okay, so right answer is there from Kunjan. She has answered it correct, and that's the Gete. He has been considered as the physician of the Iron Age. Avanish, you know, it is something very uncertain to predict right now, but it may take some time. As for information, no doubt, right, there are some rumors in the streets, but it may take some time. And maybe if it is coming in June, so be ready for your examination. So don't wait when it is coming. Just get ready yourself. When are you going to crack it? So don't think it when is it going to be here. It's your preparation that will matter a lot. So you get your preparation starting right today, and don't think about such dates and all things, because it's part of competitor's life. You may see it someday coming, but the main question is, are you ready for that day? If yes, then it's everything is fine. Otherwise, it's going to be meaningless. So be ready for your preparation. Be ready for your preparation. And definitely vacancies will come. So don't think anything else. Just be ready and give your 100% and commitment to your preparation. Okay? So here is another question for you to be answering. Okay, the question is here. What's the name of the mother of Matthew Arnold? What's the name of the mother of Matthew Arnold? We go with the question. The name of Okay, Avanish. So don't keep just waiting, beta. If you have appeared in the examination, someday it will come. So no need to be waiting. Just keep learning. Someday it will come. Okay, and here we find some answers coming from Sarita, Pratima, Gunjan, Jagrati, Neeraj, Santosh. They've all answered it correct. That it is Mary Penrose. Exactly, right answer is Mary Penrose, and that's good one. We'll go with the next one. What's the name of the female protagonist from the poem The Forsaken Mermaid? What's the name of the female protagonist from the poem The Forsaken Mermaid? The name of the female protagonist you will have to tell from the poem Forsaken Mermaid by Matthew Arnold. And we find some answers starting here with Sarita, followed by Pratima, Gunjan, Neeraj, Nartis, Mansha. They have all answered it correct, and that is Margaret. Now Santosh has also answered exactly. Margaret is the right answer as the female protagonist from the poem The Forsaken Mermaid, because you know that's a beautiful love story and presenting women as a faithless in the poem by Arnold, but exactly he is a man who tried to see the relationship should be equal, in equal status, equal position, otherwise most of the times proves to be disastrous, and that's what he tried to show it. Well, right, we move with the next question. What is the name of the work that's supposed to be the main source for the poem, The Sikh King in Bukhara? What's the name of the work that is supposed to be the main source for the poem, The Sikh King in Bukhara by Arnold? The name of the work that is supposed to be the source for the poem The Sikh King in Bukhara by Arnold. Okay, so you find the question to tell the name of the work as a source for the poem The Sikh King in Bukhara. Okay, and we have the answer on the screen. Okay, that's a good one, Gunjan. So right answer starting here with Gunjan, and she is followed by Sarita. Right, it is Neeraj and Pratima. They have also answered it correct to be Travels into Bukhara by Alexander Burney. Exactly, Sarita. That's a good one. Alexander Burney is the author who wrote this Travel into Bukhara, and that becomes the source for the poem The Sikh King in Bukhara by Matthew Arnold. What's the name of the only poem by Arnold narrating the Troy story? What's the name of the only poem by Arnold that's narrating, not Troy actually, Arthurian legend or British romance? Arthurian legend or British romance. What's the name of the work by Matthew Arnold. That's the only piece actually, centering on the Arthurian legend. So you will have to tell the name of that poem. Okay, Mansha, that's a good one, but be quick. Okay, and here we find the answer for the Arthurian legend. No, Pratima. Sohrab and Rustam is not Arthurian legend. Well, so right answer is here from Sarita, and she is followed by Neeraj. Right, it's a Gunjan. They have also answered it correct to be Tristram and Isolde. Exactly, Tristram and Isolde is the right answer. Well, we go with the next one. Which poem of Arnold has the line, "He spoke and loosed our heart in tears"? He spoke and loosed our heart in tears. Which poem of Arnold has the line, "He spoke and loosed our hearts in tears"? Which poem of Arnold has the line? I repeat, which poem of Arnold has the line, "He spoke and loosed our heart in tears"? And we have some variety of answer on the screen. That started with Neeraj, followed by Sarita with different answer. Neeraj says Sohrab and Rustam, and Sarita says Tarsis, and both are wrong. So right answer is Memorial Verses, very famous poem and very famous line as well, especially highlighting the poetic quality of William Wordsworth. So I expected the right answer from you all, but I think you guys are not giving proper revision to your poems, so that's why you are in trouble. Okay, so right answer was Memorial Verses. The line is related to William Wordsworth, speaking about his poetic talent and poetic quality, where he wrote and he spoke, and the heart of the reader is always loosed in tears, and they can be enjoying the emotional pleasure from the poet. Okay, going with the next one. What's the name of the daughters of Arnold? What are the names of the daughters of Arnold? What are the names of the daughters of Arnold? That's the next question. The names of the daughters of Arnold, and we have the answer, and started in short with Sarita. That's a good one from Neeraj, and much better coming here from Kunjan, Lucy, Charlotte, and Eleanor Mary Coraline. They have all answered it correct. In short, it's Charlotte and Eleanor, the two daughters of Matthew Arnold. Okay, we'll move with the next. How many siblings Arnold was, including Arnold actually? How many siblings were there, including Arnold? How many siblings were there in all, including Matthew Arnold? Okay, and we have some answers on the screen. That started here with Sarita. Oh, no, Neeraj. Not issues. See, issues and children 6, and siblings are 10. 5 brothers, 5 sisters. Okay, so right answer started with Sarita, followed by Pratima. That's a good one, Sarita, exactly. That's the right answer. Okay, we go with the next one. What's the name of the grandfather of Sohrab from the poem Sohrab and Rustam? What's the name of the grandfather of Sohrab from the poem Sohrab and Rustam? I repeat the question. Name of the grandfather of Sohrab from the poem Sohrab and Rustam. Okay, and we have the answer starting with Sarita, and she is followed by Kunjan, Pratima, Neeraj, Mansha. They have all answered it correct, and that is Zal. Exactly, Zal was the grandfather of Sohrab and father of Rustam from the poem Sohrab and Rustam. We'll go with the next one. What's the name of the hill that was very close to Oxford Hills, and Arnold with his friends used to visit it? That becomes a kind of source when he started writing the poem like Tarsus. What's the name of the hill that Arnold paid visit with his friends as a scholar of Oxford? That becomes the source or source of inspiration for him when he wrote Tarsus. Okay, we go with the answers. Finding it here on the screen, starting with Sarita, followed by Neeraj, Gunjan, Pratima, Mansha. They have all answered it correct, and that is Cumnor's Hill. That's a good one. Cumnor's Hill is the right answer. That's a good one, Santosh. Be quick, beta, in your reply, and I'll check the spelling as well. Well, right, we go with the next one. Which poem of Arnold has the line? I repeat. Which poem of Arnold has the line, we will gaze from the sand hills at the white sleeping town. I repeat. We will gaze from the sand hills at the white sleeping town. Which poem of Arnold has the lines, we will gaze from the sand hills at the white sleeping town. At the white sleeping town. Which poem of Arnold has these lines? We will gaze from sand hills at the white sleeping town. Which poem has the line? And we have some answers, starting with Sarita. She is followed by Pratima, Mansha, Gunjan, Santosh. They've all answered it correct, and that's the Forsaken Merman. Exactly, Neeraj. It's the Forsaken Merman, the poem that has the lines, we will gaze from the sand hills at the white sleeping town. That's a good one. We'll go with the next, and that is, what's the name of the river that becomes the background for the poem Sohrab and Rustam? What's the name of the river that becomes the background of the plot for the poem Sohrab and Rustam? The name of the river on whose bank the battle of Sohrab and Rustam, duet of Sohrab and Rustam, fight between Sohrab and Rustam takes place. The name of the river you will have to tell. And we have some answers here, starting with the reply of Sarita, Kunjan, Neeraj, okay, Gunjan, Pratima, Mansha, Santosh. They have all answered it correct, and that is Oxus. Exactly. The name of the river is Oxus, where the plot of the longer poem Sohrab and Rustam takes place. Okay. Whom did Tristram loved really from, sorry, the question I should change. Whom did Tristram love really in the poem Tristram and Isolde? Whom did whom did Tristram really love in the poem Tristram and Isolde by Arnold? Whom did he love? He means Tristram love really? From the poem Tristram and Isolde. Waiting for the answer. Okay, and that's good one. Exactly, Neeraj. Right answer. No, Gunjan, that's not answer. You know already that there are two Isolde in the poem. One that's Isolde of Brittany and the one that's Isolde of Ireland. And Tristram was related to both, but he actually loved really Isolde of Ireland, and it was Isolde of Ireland that gave him the final company. So right answer started with Neeraj, followed by Sarita, Pratima, and Santosh. Oh, Santosh, just check the spelling of Ireland, beta. You cannot make mistake like this. So right answer is Isolde of Ireland. That's a good one. Which poem of Arnold has the line, "The secret of their art, when fully learned, will to the world impart"? Which poem of Arnold has the line, "The secret of their art, when fully learned, will to the world impart"? You know, once again, it's an easy one, and from very famous line from Matthew Arnold, and that is also, I think, should be on your tongue. So right, the question is, which poem of Arnold has the line, "The secret of their art, when fully learned, will to the world impart"? And we have some answers here on the screen, starting with Sarita. She is followed by Gunjan, Pratima, Neeraj, Jagrati, and they have all answered it correct. That the scholar gypsy. Exactly, it's the scholar gypsy, and the poem has this beautiful message, and as you know, a very liberal heart of a scholar have been shown, and that wanted to go to the world of gypsies and learn some secret of gypsies, how they keep themselves happy actually all the time, without being chained by the materialism and materialistic pursuit. And for that purpose, he decided to go there, and decided to come later on to impart this whole that he could learn in the company of the gypsies. But you know, by the end of the poem, we don't find any clear indication that he would come. But yes, he returns once, and there he could meet two scholars of the Oxford University. Okay, we'll go with the detail. Lots of interesting things are there in the poem, a scholar gypsy. We'll go with the next one. When did Arnold enroll himself as a scholar of Oxford? When did Arnold enroll himself as the scholar of Oxford? I mean, when did Arnold get admission in the Balliol College, Oxford? And we have the answers. Fine, VP, thank you. And hope you are also fine. We have some answers, starting with Sarita. She is followed by Pratima, Gunjan, Santosh, that's a good one, VP, Mansha, and Neeraj. They all answered it correct, and that is 1841. Exactly, he got admission in Balliol College for his graduation, and that was in 1841. Who is supposed to be the godfather of Arnold in literature? Who is supposed to be the godfather of Arnold in literature? Godfather of Arnold in literature, who is supposed to be? No, Sarita, what a blunder you're making. Cannot make mistakes after all, covering all these. Okay, so right answer starting with Mansha and Pratima, Neeraj, Gunjan. Check the spellings, how horrible spelling you guys write. And Sarita now with Santosh. They have all answered it correct. That is John Cable. That's the right answer. John Cable was a scholar and related to Oxford movement who becomes the godfather for Arnold in his composition, in his writing poetry. Okay. When was Arnold appointed as the professor of poetry? When was Arnold appointed as the professor of poetry? When was Arnold appointed as the professor of poetry? Oh, no, Gunjan, no Mansha, no Sarita, no, VP. So right answer is there from Neeraj. Exactly, it's 1858. Yeah, he was appointed twice, the professor of poetry. At first, it was in 1858, the very year of his play, Mirror was published. Okay, going with the next one. How long did Arnold serve as the inspector of his school? How long did Arnold serve as the inspector of the schools? How long did Arnold serve as the inspector of the school? Okay, and we have the right answer on the screen starting with Mansha. No, VP, not that way. No, Pratima and Sarita, Neeraj, Gunjan. They have all answered it correct to be 35 years. Exactly. He was actively serving is from 1851 to 1886. That's around 35 years. He could serve actively to the schools as the inspector, and in 1886 he actually left all his public service. He left all his public service. Well, right, we move to the next. What was the main reason of the death of Matthew Arnold? What was the main reason as the death of Matthew Arnold? What was the main reason of the death of Matthew Arnold? And we find some answers on the screen that go with Sarita, followed by Pratima, Narsigunjan. Exactly, that's a good one. Sarita. So right answer is here, heart failure, and that's started with Sarita, followed by Pratima, Gunjan, Sarita. Okay, that's a good one. Mansha, Neeraj. Okay, Santosh. Right answer is heart failure, and it happened because of his jumping over fence to catch a tram car, and that becomes a reason for the heart failure, but ultimately the reason of his death was a heart failure. Okay, we go with the next one. How many stanzas are there in the poem The Scholar Gypsy? How many stanzas are there in the poem The Scholar Gypsy? How many stanzas are there in the poem The Scholar Gypsy? That's the question. And I know it's a very easy one. You can very simply answer. The length of the poem Scholar Gypsy. How many stanzas are there? Okay, we find some answers on the screen. Well, so the answers, and there's a mistake. It's a 25. Okay, Gunjan, that's good. Not 24. So 25 stanzas are there in the poem, The Scholar Gypsy. Okay, we go with the next question. Which poem of Arnold has the line, "And that sweet city with her dreaming spires, and that sweet city with her dreaming spires, and that sweet city with her dreaming spires"? Which poem of Arnold has this line? That sweet city with her dreaming spires. Which poem of Arnold has the line? Again, it's a very simple one. The appreciation of a city, definitely, it's a London that Arnold praised. And we go with the answers on the screen, starting with Gunjan, followed by Sarita, Mansha, Jagrati, Santosh. Santosh, check the spelling beta. So they have all answered it correct, and that is Tarsit. That's a nice answer. We'll move with the next question. Which literary period Matthew Arnold belonged to? Which literary period Matthew Arnold belonged to? Which literary period Matthew Arnold belonged to? And we have some answers on the screen that we go with the reply of Sarita. She is followed by Gunjan, Mansha, Jagrati. They have answered it correct, and that is Victorian age. Exactly, that's the right answer. Matthew Arnold is supposed to be the representative pessimistic poet of the Victorian age. So right answer. They are from Neeraj and Santosh as well. We go with the next. When did Arthur Hugh Clarke breathe his last? When did Arthur Hugh Clarke breathe his last? Arthur Hugh Clarke was a university friend of Matthew Arnold, and he breathed his last early. And one of the poem of Arnold was inspired from the death of Arthur Hugh Clarke. That's the Tarsis. So you will have to tell when did he breathe his last. And we have the answers on the screen coming from Neeraj, and she is followed by Sarita, Mansha, and now it's a Gunjan. They have all answered it correct, and that is November 1861. That's a good one. And right, it's a Santosh. She has also answered it correct. Okay, we go with the next one. Good afternoon, Poonam. Good afternoon, Prerna. Okay, going with the next one. What was the name of the wife of Matthew Arnold? What was the name of the wife of Matthew Arnold? Name of the wife of Matthew Arnold. And we have the answer on the screen, and that's starting with the reply of Gunjan, but much better here from Sarita, Mansha, Neeraj. They have all answered it correct. That's Frances. Oh no, Gunjan, it's not Francis. Frances is a girl, Francis is a boy. So be careful. He did not get married to a boy. Okay, so I think you got it. Well, Jagrati is here. So right answer is actually from Sarita. She answered it correct with the spelling. And same instruction to you, Nikita. It's a Francis, not Francis. Okay, Francis Lucy Whiteman. That's a good one, Jagrati. And the right answer was Francis Lucy Whiteman, with whom he got married in June 1851. Okay, now I'll move with the next one. Which poem of Arnold is supposed to be an outcome of his honeymooning with his wife, Francis Lucy Whiteman? Which poem of Arnold is supposed to be an outcome of his honeymooning with his wife, Francis Lucy Whiteman? Okay. Well, so right answer starting with Sarita, and she is followed by Mansha, Gunjan, Neeraj, Nikita, Santosh. They have all answered it correct to be Tower Beach. That's a good one. Tower Beach is the right answer as a piece that was an outcome of their honeymooning in 1851. Okay, which is supposed to be the last poetic collection of Matthew Arnold. Which is supposed to be the last poetic collection of Matthew Arnold. Which is supposed to be the last poetic collection of Matthew Arnold. Your answer awaited. Okay, and we go with the answers, starting with the reply of, okay, it is Neeraj. That's a good one, Neeraj, exactly. And followed by Mansha, Gunjan, Sarita, Santosh. Okay, so that's the new poems as a collection published in 1867, and that's the collection where Dover Beach was published for the first time. So it's a new poem supposed to be the final collection of poems by Matthew Arnold. Okay, we go with the next. When was the critical essay Study of Poetry by Arnold published? When was the critical essay, The Study of Poetry by Matthew Arnold published? When was the critical essay, The Study of Poetry by Matthew Arnold published? And waiting for the replies. We have some replies here on the screen that start here. Oh, no, Poonam, that's not my question. It's about the study of poetry, not culture anarchy. So right answer started there with Neeraj, followed by, oh, Sarita, just check your reply. Followed by Mansha, Gunjan, Sarita, Santosh. They have all answered it correct to be 1888, the very year of his breathing last. He could publish the poetic criticism, and that's the study of poetry. Okay, the very famous actually critical work. There he gave the idea of his touchstone theory, and is very, very known for that one. Okay, going with the next one. Well, when was the second collection of the poems by Arnold published? When was the second collection of the poem by Arnold published? Second collection of the poem by Arnold, when was it published? And we have the answers. We find some answer on the screen. No, sir, that's not. So right answer is here from Neeraj. 1852. Exactly, that's a good one, Mansha. 1852. Just the year after his marriage, he got the publication of his second collection of the poems, Empedocles on Ethna and other poems in 1852. And actually, poems, a new edition was appeared in 1853. So right answer is 1852 for the second collection of his poem, Empedocles on Ethna. Okay, we go with the next one. When was Mero, a tragedy by him, published? When was Mero, a tragedy by Arnold, published? When was Mero, a tragedy by Arnold, published? And we have the answer. That's a good one, Poonam. That's a nice effort. Okay, we go with the answers, starting with Sarita, followed by Mansha, Neeraj. They have all answered it correct, to be 1858. Exactly. 1858 is the year when the tragedy of Matthew Arnold, Mero, was published. Which poem of Arnold has the line, "The bloom is gone, with the bloom go I"? The bloom is gone, with the bloom go I. Which poem of Arnold has the line, "The bloom is gone, and with the bloom go I"? Which poem has the reply? And we have some replies actually here on the screen. Let's start with Sarita. She is followed by Mansha, and they have all answered it correct with Neeraj. That's a Tarsis. That's a good one. And we'll go with the next one. Where was the title Tarsis taken from? Where was the title Tarsis by Arnold was taken from? The source of the work, from where the title of Tarsis was taken? And we find some answers. And that starts here with the reply of Sarita, and she has answered it correct, to be from the 7th eclogue by Virgil, and that's the place where we find the mentioning of Tarsis, and we found that Tarsis was actually defeated by Corydon there and ultimately met his end. But from Arnold it is not so. From Arnold it is time that could defeat Tarsis, and that's what he wanted to share the information with us all, that his Tarsis, his Arthur Euclid, also was defeated by time. Nobody else could defeat him actually, but the time, always invincible, and could defeat him. Okay, we go here with the next one. Where was the poem Cromwell by Arnold recited first? Where was the poem Cromwell by Arnold recited first? Where was the poem Cromwell by Arnold recited first? That was the question. Okay, and we have the answers. Starting here with the reply of Sarita. It's a Seldonian, not Celadonian. And that's to you, Neeraj, as well. So Sheldonian Theatre, Oxford, that's a good one, Gunjan. Right effort. So Sheldonian Theatre, Oxford is the place where it was decided on 28 June 1843, and that's the prize winning poem of Arnold as well. That's Sheldonian, not Seldonian. Sheldonian. And again you repeated like Celadonian. Okay, Jagrati, check the spelling. Oh, that's a good one. Moving with the next one. Whom did Arnold call to be barbarian in his critical work, The Culture and Anarchy? Whom did Arnold call barbarian in his critical work, Culture and Anarchy? I try to give you some clue. You know that the society is divided into three classes, like lower class, middle class, upper class, and yeah, that's how he divided his society and in his Culture and Anarchy. So from that perspective, the question is there: whom did Arnold call barbarian from his critical essay, Culture and Anarchy? And we find the answers starting with Pratima, followed by Gunjan, Mansha. They also well right, Sarita. They answered it to be middle class, and that is the wrong answer. You know, middle class is Philistine. One that is always engaged in earning money is a Philistine. That was a middle class, because middle class is always a challenge to be an upper class. Okay, and for that end, day and night, this middle class works hard. And the barbarian was actually upper class, or you may call to be aristocrat, and that was from the society. So for aristocrat or for the upper class, Macdonald used barbarian in his critical essay, Culture and Anarchy. Okay, we'll go with the next. Where did Arnold give the concept of touchstone theory? Where did Arnold give the concept of the touchstone theory? Okay, and we go with the answers. And that started here with the reply of Sarita, and she is followed by Mansha. Oh, Mansha, check the spelling better. And she is accompanied by Pratima, Neeraj. They have all answered it correct with Kunchan, and Santosh with Poonam. The study of poetry in 1888, that's the very tract of Arnold. We find him giving the idea of the touchstone theory. Well, we go with the next. Which poem of Arnold opens with the line, The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full, the moon lies fair. The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full, the moon lies fair. Which poem of Arnold opens with the lines? The sea is calm tonight, very famous line. The tide is full, the moon lies fair, and we find the answer starting with Sarita, followed by Mansha, Pratima, Poonam, Neeraj, Santosh, Jagrati, Gunchan. They have all answered it correct, and that is Tower Beach. Okay, we'll go with the next. What's the name of the American critic who attacked the pessimistic views of Arnold in his poem The Dover Beach? What's the name of the American critic who attacked the pessimism of Arnold in his poem The Dover Beach? Okay, and the answers are here on the screen, and we find it starting with the reply of Sarita, followed by Neeraj, Kunchan, Mansha, and Pratima. They have all answered it correct to be Anthony Head. Exactly, Anthony Head was the American poet and laureate of American poet, and he could attack the pessimism of Arnold in his poem The Dover Beach. Okay, we go with the next one, and that is, which poem of Arnold was composed to console his sister Jane Martha? Which poem of Arnold was composed by him to console his sister Jane Martha after her engagement was broken off with George Cotton? What was the name of the No, sir. The Tristram and Isolde, actually it's not two Isolde. Tristram and Isolde is an Arthurian legend. Okay, that's a good one. Neeraj, she is followed by Gunjan. They have answered it correct to be Resignation to Foster. That's a good one. Resignation to Foster was the name of the work that was supposed to be the work written by Arnold as a consolation for his sister Jane Martha over her breaking off with George Cotton. Okay, going with the next one, and that is here. What's the name of the poem where we find that some mullah, some ulemas gave the death punishment to a mullah by Arnold? Which poem of Arnold narrates the story of the death of a mullah by being stoned after the order of ulemas? Which poem of Arnold narrate the story? Okay, exactly. That's a good effort, Sarita. And that's the right answer. The Sikh King in Bukhara. That's a good one. And the right is Gunjan, followed by Mansha. They have all answered it correct to be the Sikh King in Bukhara. It's not off, it's in. The Sikh King in Bukhara. That's the right answer. Is a poem by Arnold narrating the story of a mullah being stoned by the order of ulemas. Okay, we'll go with the next one. Where did Arnold write that the function of criticism should be dissemination of ideas or disinterested endeavor to learn and propagate the best that is known and taught in the world. Beautiful line. The best that is known and taught in the world. Where did Arnold write? I repeat, where did Arnold write that the function of the criticism should be a dissemination of ideas, a disinterested endeavor to learn and propagate the best that is known and taught in the world? And no, Sarita, that's not so, right? It's a function of criticism, not function of poetry. So it's different. It's not the part of study of poetry. I repeat the question, where did Arnold write as the function of criticism should be a dissemination of ideas, a disinterested endeavor to learn and propagate the best that is known and taught in the world. The best that is known and taught in the world. That is a very, very famous statement from him. The best that is known and taught in the world is actually the function of a critic to learn and propagate without self-interest, without personal individuality. And that's what he said. Okay. Exactly. No, Pratima, that's not so. No, Sarita, that's not culture anarchy. It's the function of criticism at the present time. The function of criticism at the present time was a critical essay by Arnold in 1864. The function of criticism at the present time was the critical essay of Arnold, published in 1864. There he tried to tell us what should be the function of criticism, and he told that it should be disinterested, there shouldn't be any personal interest, endeavor of a critic to learn and propagate what that is best as known and thought in the world. Means without any personal participation, and this had been the idea that becomes later on the source or inspiration for the critic like T.S. Eliot to give their objective correlative concepts or the idea of association of sensibility and dissociation of sensibility. So lots of things were there in the criticism of Arnold. So right answer was the function of criticism at the present time. This was the critical essay of Arnold published in 1864 that had this idea. And right, we move with the final question of the day, and that would be here. What was the name of the magazine that published first the poem Memorial Verses? What was the name of the magazine that published first the poem Memorial Verses by Arnold? The name of the magazine. That is the final question of the day. The name of the magazine, no, Neeraj. It's not Cornell magazine. I repeat the question, what's the name of the magazine that got the first publication of Memorial Verses? And we have actually later on answers from Neeraj. She answered to a Fraser's magazine. Oh, that was so easy, but didn't expect that there will be just single answer on the screen. Okay, it's okay. We'll go with some more question then. And I think this question should be the final from you. You all should try to answer it correct. Okay? Who, according to the myth, is the reason behind the death of Tarsus? Who is, according to myth, reason behind the death of Tarsis that was challenged by Arnold in his poem Tarsis? Who was the reason of the death of Tarsis according to myths that was challenged by Arnold in his poem Tarsis? Let me go with this question as the final question. So try to give the correct answer. It's very, very easy once again. Oh, no, Pratima, not time. Oh, Mansha Beta, Arthur Claw was presented in the persona of Tarsis. He did not become the reason of the death of Tarsis. Tarsis was a mythical character, you know. That's my question. Okay, right. The right answer is here, Corydon. Exactly, just when I put the question from Tarsis, I gave the description that Tarsis, according to myth, was defeated by Corydon and become the reason of his death. But Arnold challenged it and he said that's the time. And I think one more question should be there because you guys are not giving answer. I don't expect that the final question should be receiving just one answer or two answer. I expect you guys should give. All of you should try to answer it. Let's go. What's the names of the friends of Arnold with whom he visited Cell? I repeat. What's the names of the friends of Matthew Arnold with whom he visited Cell? That later on becomes the inspiration or source for the description of his poem Tarsis, and even for the scholar gypsy. So what's the names of the friends of Matthew Arnold with whom he visited Cell? Let's make this question to be the final question of the day. Though you guys were quite slow in your answering, but it's okay. You should keep trying. And we find some answers here on the screen. And that's okay. And we'll go with the Neeraj, Pratima, Sarita, well, and not Samansha. Theodore Walrant and Arthur Claw. That was the right answer. And with that, we would like to make the end of the day. And before we leave, I want to tell you that it was a question session on Matthew Arnold. And next time in the class, we go with another Victorian novelist and modern poet, and that will be Thomas Hardy. So day after tomorrow, because next day there will be language class over here, and day after tomorrow we'll continue with literature once again, and this time it will be Thomas Hardy in our class. So that's all from me. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep watching, keep learning, and keep working hard. Thank you very much.